Our series against Unicorns will be pretty exciting.
We are 1-1 versus them.
Unicorns of Love have obliterated Gambit.
We are just playing better and better, and Unicorns are still being consistent.
For the Unicorns of Love, up and down the entirety of the split.
We usually struggle in best of ones, but in best of fives I think we have the edge.
It's a shutdown as Vardax picks up Hanoi. Edward, he is going to go down.
Gambit, they just found that on switch, going to that 7th-game winning streak. Oh, that's a great start by Cambo Shot. Great engage.
Everything they do and we can adapt to it, I think we will have the edge over them.
The Nexus is going to fall. Gambit Gaming have done it.
The Unicorns of Love won't be able to match our level of play.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2015 European League of Legends Spring Playoffs Quarterfinals. We're broadcasting to you live from our fantastic studio in Berlin, Germany, where you see that the fans are absolutely hyped for this second quarterfinal we're going to see here today. A lot of Unicorns fans with their props wanting to see them victorious today, and the Gambit fans also here to support their team. Where we see Gambit stepping into the building with Leviathan in the back. I'm sure he's got a lot of plans to make his team shine today, and they're the Unicorns of Love setting up on stage, getting ready. And their Redbeard and Mages are casters. They couldn't figure it out themselves. They needed some help. And a glorious picture from Trevor, if I may add. I'm Ifya, shock supporter at the helm of the analyst desk, where I'm joined by our guests, the former coach for Meet Your Makers, Yamato Cannon, and the coach for our newest semifinalist, Prolly of H2K. Thank you very much for joining us, Prolly. Did you get some sleep after what I can only imagine were fantastic celebrations after you locking in that spot?
Yeah, we got a little bit of fun, but our team is really bad at celebrating. So that's probably my next goal for a coach, is to get us better at celebrating and being happy about stuff.
All right, not a lot of celebrating. Did you have any time to reflect on the series, which was actually pretty flawless, except for the bump in the road in Game 2?
Yeah, that's, I guess, why we're so bad at celebrating. We were focusing on what we should have been doing better and stuff. So we actually took a lot of time to really think about the things we did well and wrong, and mostly try to replicate the things we're doing right in the most efficient manner.
Yeah, that is absolutely the right attitude. Yamato, if you reflect on the series back yesterday, and then in terms of looking at the Copenhagen Wolves, they didn't manage to fix the things that they'd been struggling with in the 9 weeks prior to the playoffs, and not in the playoffs either.
I would actually go so far to say to expect some roster swaps, unless they want to stay as a mid-tier team. So that's something I'm looking forward to see if they're actually going to commit into that.
All right, we will see. But in the end, probably very good performance from you guys. What does the next couple of weeks look like? Amping it up a little more, because you already have coach of the split.
Yeah, man. The next weeks are going to be grueling. I'm probably going to try some new stuff, and it's going to be a lot more strict, I guess, from our side. But hopefully, we were kind of sad about our last play against Fnatic, so everyone's really, really hungry. We all really want to beat Fnatic, so we're going to try hard, and we're going to do our thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic matchup. Something else I wanted to touch on yesterday, first games we saw on 5.6 here, we were touching on Athenes and how much it would influence the games yesterday. What are your thoughts?
I think still I will stand by my point that Athenes on Holy Grail will make a massive impact at some point. I think it will just smack the scene by the face when it happens, and the meta will just completely shift into boring farm mid laners. But I have to say that I'm still happy to see a lot of Arya and especially Diana play.
Well, as the tanks are kind of coming in more, you need mana to actually kill the tanks. Because you'll see a lot of times mids going now. So I think it's going to be a good way to counterpick tanks more often. I do see mid lane maybe getting a bit boring, but I really hope it just means, oh, we have more mana, let's go fight more.
Yeah.
What definitely isn't boring is Luden's Echo. We saw a lot of it yesterday on Ahri and on Diana. Diana as third item for your Ryu, and you didn't agree with that at all.
Not at all, because I think it just delays the good items so much. At the point where you actually finish Luden's Echo, it's super strong, but then it just completely ruins your mid game and your late game. I guess it doesn't ruin your mid game, but it kind of ruins your late game because you need Void Staff, Hourglass, Death Cap. It's so good.
Well, I mean, so we had Nashers on Diana, so Luden's Echo is going to be super strong 1v1. And then in teamfights, his job literally was just RQ assassinate someone, not QR and just keep the sustain damage. His job really was to insta-kill Freeze, insta-kill Soren. Right. So that's where I really like the Luden's Echo, because it's yeah, we'll go in and we'll one-hit that guy. Or we'll split push because we have Nashor's Tooth.
I guess it works because of the Kog'Maws also. Doesn't need really
That's true.
scaling. Yeah. I get your point.
And you guys did end up winning, and with that, H2K did punch in a ticket to the semifinals. That means, as we touched on, you guys will be playing number 2 seed Fnatic, and the remaining semifinal spot will be decided today between the Gambit and the Unicorns of Love, and the winner of that will end up playing SK Gaming. And also, the winner today will earn at least 30 championship points, and the loser will go home with 10. Very important this season, as the team that at the end of the summer split has the most championship points will automatically qualify for Worlds. Now, with those teams that we know that are already locked in for the semifinals, H2K and Fnatic and SK, who were locked in before, we will see those teams in Madrid. Tickets are still available to attend the show on the 18th of April. We'll have the third place game and the finals on Sunday, April 19th. The winner of the playoffs goes to the mid-season invitational, and it all takes place at the Palacio Vista Alegre. All the info is over on lolesports.com, and you can get your tickets there as well to join us and look at all the action. And I actually forgot to touch on it yesterday, probably, but really cool. You get to take your team on a road trip to Madrid and play in that great arena.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a challenge because we're still getting settled. So the biggest complaint right now is like, we have to pack. So I'm going to be there like, did you guys bring your underwear and your socks? So it will be an experience, I'll tell you that.
No, be team bonding. It'll be great. Going to the sun in Madrid. Well, yesterday, after you guys ended up winning versus the Copenhagen Wolves, the North American playoffs kicked off as well. And then Team Liquid absolutely shut down CLG, a clean 3-0. That means they locked in their spot for the semifinal versus Cloud9 next week. Later today, we'll also have Team Impulse versus Gravity, as they will be playing to get into the semifinals versus TSM. But Yamato, you watched that series yesterday as well. Golden Age more seems like golden couple of months for CLG.
Yeah, I don't even think like the golden age was never existent to me, because the same issues they had before were still there, and I'm actually really sad for them because they have a talented roster with the addition of Zion Spartan and Xmithy, of course.
Yeah, I'm just really scared that CLG, like, unbeknownst to them, are really affected by what social media does. Because there's no way that they're always right. Like, social media always ends up being right about this team. And I think it happens to be, yeah, they read it and it, like, subconsciously changes what they do. I don't think they can really shake off, you know, what the public says.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, as you will. Well, too bad for CLG, but the second NA LCS quarterfinal will take place immediately following our broadcast here later today between Team Impulse and Gravity. Now, I'd like to turn to you guys and have your opinion. With the fact that all these games now are best of fives, it is do or die. Which team do you think will best adapt their strategy to a best of five, and why? Probably, I think you got pretty good strategy in best of fives.
Yeah, we have a pretty nice 3-0 in all 3 of our best of 5 so far. So we will have to figure out what to do for game 4 and 5 if that ever comes up. But as of now, I think the team's actually really dedicated into figuring out the best way to play the best of 5s. It's not really a relaxed point of view. Everyone's really intense, like they want to know how to do best of 5. So I think we're doing a really good job, and we should be able to show it next week.
If it may ever come up, a 4th or 5th game, you are playing Fnatic, so I dare to say it might be the case.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yamato, what do you think?
I actually have to agree with them. Like H2K, I think they have the most like durable way of playing in terms of like their general strategy in game, because they don't really have, like, they're playing good. They don't have like a strategy to counter. When Fnatic, like, they have the Huni thing when they're roaming, and of course SK, they're just pushing every lane. So in terms of strategy, they're kind of like, they have the good strategy. While I have to say that pick and ban phase, I have to give it to SK in this scenario.
All right, well, we'll see them playing next week as well. We heard what these guys have to say, but remember, we want to hear your opinion. Tweet your answers at LOL Esports, and be sure to use that hashtag LCS so we can talk about your answers later on the desk here today. And now, it is time for our second quarterfinal here in the European LCS between the 4th seed Gambit Gaming and the 5th seed, the Unicorns of Love. They are 1-1 in the regular season. Gambit did beat out the Unicorns of Love last week here in Week 9. So let's start by taking a look at the lineup for Gambit. They are on blue side for the very first game of the series. Cabochard, Diamond, Betsy, Pinoy, Edward, and their coach, Leviathan. Now, the big story coming into this season for this team was the changing of the AD carry and top. And although Pinoy was really styling at IM Cologne in the preseason and even 1v1 in Doublelift, for me, it was Cabochard that has really put this team into the definitive form.
Yeah, for sure. Like Cabochard, even at the IM event that Pinoy like played well, he played super well as well. And I think throughout the season, Cabochard has been like the main point of strategy for Gambit. They're playing around top lane and also always giving him the last pick to ensure that he gets a good matchup.
Yeah, and they always pick some kind of influence teamfight top laner. They never really pick a top laner that just only wants to stay 1v1.
Yeah.
So it works really well because, yeah, now you have this big tank initiator, this big damage dealer that's fed coming into a team fight. So team fights, go pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So Kabashard really good. Also, Diamond really found his groove by being able to have that synergy with Kabashard in the top lane. But the big glaring error here for Gambit, or the thing that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, and especially after IM Katowice, the mid game, they haven't been as dominating in that, and it seems that they are a little lost.
I think the difficulty I have with Diamond is like he always has these 3 champions he's super good at, but when he's trying to expand this pool, it just goes like completely wrong. And we've seen it like the past few weeks. So I want him to go back to the fundamental picks where he's actually performed well on, and that actually will improve their mid game, I think.
I think a big reason why their mid game kind of falls off is because of how their game plan is going in. They really want to focus around top, and when your jungler is topside, that means your support doesn't get to invade and ward. So you can't really focus on other, the 75% of the map that you're kind of missing. So I think with always sending the jungler top towards mid game, you kind of sacrifice pressure in all the other lanes, and I think that's why their mid game kind of seems weak, is because, yeah, they can't really group jungler and support to invade their jungler's top.
Yeah, that's actually a super good point. Like, based on the fact how the meta has changed in top lane, it's basically people are playing tanks there and they're going to be fine whether they're getting ganked or not. So it's not going to have that much of an impact on the game.
Yeah, we'll see. Top very important here. And the other team, the Unicorns of Love, on the red side for Game 1, have a very strong top laner as well. Vizichachi, Kiki's Power of Evil, Vardax, Hylissang, and their coach, Sheepy. Different issues for them, or not issues, question marks for us as they came into the LCS from the Challenger scene, is they are quite aggressive in their playstyle, and they have some off-meta picks, and it actually resulted in a very inconsistent season for them, beating teams above them, actually 67% of victories against teams that are placed higher than them, and 25% against teams that are under them. Basically inconsistent, but how is it then that they still manage to pull out those fantastic upsets against teams like Fnatic?
It's like if I take a look at their history of their games, whenever they've taken victories, it's because they've been really good at punishing mistakes. They don't really take control themselves unless they're like super snowballing with like a fizz pick. But they're really good at punishing mistakes. When they actually happen, they usually take games home. And also they have like this goofy like ban and pick phase that could completely go either way. But now I feel that Gambit should be prepared for it.
Yeah, I think Gambit does have a pretty solid game plan, but the scary thing is, so they have such a good win percentage against, better teams. So if they go 0-1, does that mean they're going to go 3-0 after that? Like, I wonder if they start winning, they'll like fall off and lose. But if they lose in the beginning, they'll come back later in the series.
Yeah.
We'll see. When they qualified for LCS, they were down 0-2 and ended up winning the series best of 5 as well. So they got that in their back pocket. We already touched on the top lane, and that will also be our featured matchup in this one. Both LCS rookies, Kabashard and Vizichachi, but they've made such a mark. How do you compare them in style, and who could get the upper hand here, Jacob?
I would actually say, like, just based on the meta right now, I would have to give Vizichachi the edge because we've seen him perform well on champions like Maokai. It feels kind of out of place for Kabashard to play Maokai, so I'm expecting Maokai bans on red side for Gambit.
I actually am going to have to go with Kabashard. Like, I honestly think he has a lot more impact towards the mid game, where he really has that advantage from Diamond procs helping him, and he doesn't keep it top lane. He does move it to mid lane or to a dragon fight.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Maokai. Maokai has been imperative. We saw it yesterday. Ottawamne 3-0 on that one in your series. But is it really worth trying to ban either of those out?
It feels like Maokai is the only champion that can do what Maokai does. Like, he doesn't have bad matchups, always does what Maokai does. You can gank him 3 times, doesn't matter. He's always going to be a tree.
3 times.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That oak tree is really hard to chop down. You can't do anything. I mean, I think Odo was 0-2 in the first 2 or 3 games. And then he was tanky as hell later. It's like, yeah, good kills, but didn't really matter.
Odo is 8-0 on that tree overall, so pretty strong. We'll see if it comes out as a first pick. Now for an inside preview into today's quarterfinal, let's head on stage and talk to the coaches gearing up for this match.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Of course, I'm Devin Pyrotechnics Young, but I'm joined here by our coaches today. It is, of course, Sheepy of the Unicorns of Love and Leviathan from Gambit Gaming. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Awesome. First question, though, I want to ask you guys. You met pretty recently, back in Week 9, and obviously, Gambit, you got the better of this one. So, any takeaways from that game, Sheepy?
We played really strong early. We went 3-0 ahead, and then we did very weird stuff. And their jungle and made a horrible tower dive top lane. And we talked about this, about our communication, and we feel really confident heading in the best of 5.
All right. Any thoughts on that one, Leviathan?
That was just business as usual. That's just Gambit game.
Oh. Well, all right. Now, I want to ask you guys about trying to prep for this matchup. This is obviously some higher stakes. You got a best of 5 coming in here. It could go all the way to the end. We'll see. But how do you, first of all, Sheepy, how do you predict a team like Gambit? Your own team's a little all over the place as well, but how do you prepare for this team?
I have to prepare every day for Unicorns or for our practice, so preparing for Gambit was not that hard. But overall, I think that they play a very singular style, and we try to counter this.
And same question to you, Leviathan?
Well, like, all you have to do is just check their like LOL kings for like the stupid shit they're playing. Like they're playing Frozen Heart first item Varus top. Like, are we really scared of that? Like, sure they can pull out something weird. Like you check the rune pages, like having a Azir top rune page. Like I've played against Azir top before, so like whatever cheese they pull out, it better be some really good Gouda, because I don't think that anything they can pull out is really gonna scare us.
Well, some strong words there. Now, here's the last question for you guys. I'm going to make this one a little bit more fun. The last time you guys met on stage, Sheepy, Leviathan carried you off. Is that what happens in your games too?
Wait. Are we doing this again? Yeah, we're doing it. Okay. Yeah, maybe. If the fans want it.
We'll make it a tradition. All right. I think that's about all for us then. We're going to send it back up to the casters to get into the game. Take it away, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Pyrotechnics. I think it's quite clear the crowd wasn't really into that one.
No,
First
they didn't
of all,
want it.
Happy Easter to anybody that celebrates it, for our local audience, for Ostern, and for everybody else. Let's get serious and get to this quarterfinal. I'm Quickshot. This is the Fish Show. We're about to kick it off.
The crowd were unhappy.
I know. They like the bunny ears. They like the bunny ears. That was awesome.
I like the picture you put on Twitter earlier. Guys, you should go check it out. It's beautiful.
Right. Let's get to serious business. Best of 5. Some strong words. Leviathan laying down the law. If Unicorns are playing it in solo queue, it's not going to surprise them. Unicorns, Leviathan, Sheepy saying, hey, they have to prepare for their own inconsistency.
Sure.
It's easy against Gambit.
I think it's safe to say this matchup, impossible to predict anything. I'm saying 5 games, that's the only thing. Whoever's going to win, I don't know, but I'm expecting crazy picks. I've completely reset my brain when I was looking like pick and bans coming into the series. I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is Unicorns of Love and Gambit. They pull out different things all the time. And now in the best out of 5, I'm expecting some crazy picks.
Frozen Heart, Varus top. Leviathan playing the double psych and letting Unicorns know he's aware of it. Let's not be surprised. Cassiopeia taken off the table away from Power of Evil.
Yeah.
Betsy demonstrated his Diana at Intel Extreme Masters. That is off the table from UOL.
So I wrote down a few picks, some bans here. I would say Hecarim also going to be banned from Gambit. I would do it against Visichachi at least. I'm not going to say it's going to be guaranteed. And then from Unicorns, Diana is going to be one of them. They banned Sejuani last time they played against Gambit here in week 9. There are still some good tank picks. Gragas would be one of them. And that's been banned away now from the Unicorns.
Well, Hylissang losing access to Annie was his most played support at 7 games in the regular split. Interestingly, Hylissang only played 4 champions. Annie, Thresh, Leona, Morgana. I want to see what he's going to pull out here in the best of 5. We did see that Gragas taken away from the jungle. Nidalee off the table for Kikis. It was Kikis that debuted in the LCS, and as you mentioned, the Power Pony's still there.
It is still there. Obviously been very impactful in other regions. Yesterday, the Wolves tried to play with it, but didn't really manage to use the teleports properly. But Nidalee here was also the pick Kikis had in week 9 when they played each other, and he was very aggressive. I mean, these two teams here are so close to each other in terms of the way they play on the map. The two junglers both love to invade on each other. They love to have early ganks in the solo lanes, and therefore Nidalee has been taken away. And of course the Sejuani, we talked about it just before, how it's been one of the main picks. Well, the funny thing is, Gambit were the first team to play it before it became a thing, before Cinderhulk and everything. Diamond was playing Sejuani.
Diamond has introduced a number of top-tier picks to the top of the table. Keep in mind Maokai available as well. This will be the second time that Cabochard has played Maokai. I think it's smart because Chachi's got 4 games in it in the regular splits.
And Cabochard as a player, the analyst desk were talking about how it doesn't seem to be his style. And if you look at all 9 weeks here in the LCS, I agree. He's been more of the carry type. The thing is, Cabochard used to be a Maokai player. When he played it for NIP, he would just pick Maokai every single game. So he clearly knows everything about the champion, and it doesn't even matter if you're a carry top laner, and you don't need a carry anymore. A tank is enough. You can be fed on a Maokai and win games for your team. So I like this pick up here from Gambit, because it's also a takeaway from Visichachi.
So we'll see how the rest of the picks and bans shake out with a number of junglers taken off the table. I want to see where Diamond and Kikis go. Will Rek'Sai see some time on the Rift, or will we see that Vi? I was taking a look at some of the numbers to Fisher in Europe.
Giacomo is also an option.
Out of 186 jungle champions played, only 8 games have featured a Vi. The only reason I highlight that, North America LCS is playing a ton of Vi. We saw some of it yesterday, and we'll see whether or not Diamond can as well.
Yeah, Diamond's played a lot of Vi recently, but Unicorns here setting up 2 things with these picks. They're both flex picks for them. And you either build towards a Giacomo composition, or you build towards a long-range siege comp. Very poke-focused, depending on what Gambit is going to take. If they don't take any other hard engage than the Maokai itself, then suddenly you can see Unicorns aim towards some of these poke compositions. We have seen before Power Evil plays long-range champions in the mid lane. So yeah, 2 flex picks for them, not really telling a whole lot. And if Rek'Sai gets locked in, I think they might try and go for it.
So we'll see. Couple seconds left on the clock. Both of these teams running their timers down. Urgot was banned all 3 games yesterday. Has been secured. Could go AD carry, could go mid lane. We're expecting it mid with those summoners for Betsy.
Well, definitely also flex pick, yeah. The thing is for Gambit here, they have a fantastic tank setup already. Super hard to kill in a straight-up team fight. But if you look at the amount of engage, in order for Urgot to get towards a long-range composition, let's say a Giacomo, if it does become a Giacomo, he needs to have flash ready when he goes in so he can swap back the AD carry. Urgot is a fantastic pick normally to stop these protect the AD carry comps because he can single them out so well. And if this picks get locked in, we will have this fast push comp, this long-range poke from the Unicorns, and then Gambit is gonna have to rely on flash engages from the likes of an Urgot to start the fight.
Well, Unicorns of Love have run their mid lane Kog'Maw before. It did fantastic for 20 minutes and then took another 25 to finish. Unicorns completely floundered their mid game with that very long range. And a couple seconds left on the clock. Let's see if they still opt to go that route. Hecarim top for Visichachi.
So it is mid lane.
Jinx locked in.
It's gonna be for the mid lane then. Vardax gets his Jinx. This is purely picked because of a fast pushing ability. If you manage to poke someone off the tower and back in base, Jinx just needs a few seconds on a tower and it goes down. Gambit does have the option to run the likes of Leona as a support if they want some hard engage there. Thresh is okay in this situation as well. But they're gonna have to look, I mean, they can see everything Unicorns are doing now. They know exactly what they have to deal with. They know they need enough engage to always force fights and single out these 2 immobile AD carries from the Unicorns. There's only 1 black shield. So one of the AD carries will be caught out by the likes of an Urgot and swap back.
Well, a couple seconds left on the clock. That is Cho'Gath locked in, meaning that's going to be an Urgot bottom lane.
Yeah,
it will be for Pinoy. It's something that you were touching on earlier today, to Fisher, the fact that Urgot has that flexibility in his back pocket. Edward got some disengage to round out the team composition. That is a terrifying, terrifying front line with some powerful disengage if anything goes awry.
That's the thing. In a straight-up team fight, Gambit here, fantastic tankiness. They got some burst damage from the Cho'Gath as well. But overall, they will still have that problem. If Urgot cannot flash in for the engage or Maokai cannot get a flank himself, Unicorns can't dance around. The Black Shield from Morgana shuts down the Maokai engage pretty effectively, even the Urgot in this case. So the Unicorns, as long as they don't fall behind and can never contest objectives because there's always wards being placed from Gambit and they have to like walk down a choke point and can always get engaged on, they will be able to sit back and poke and simply slow down the game. Say to Gambit, if you ever want to fight, you better do it instantly. Otherwise, you're going to be way too low. Even in Nautilus now, we haven't seen this in the jungle. But this is so much about kiting. You max E now on it. And you just basically stand in front of your AD carries and you press E, you slow everything, and you just walk back. You walk back. You land 1 binding, follow that with a hook, and then you can single out a target, then you take a tower. So for the Unicorns here, as long as they don't fall behind, they can pull off this super long range, super annoying comp with so much CC and so many ways of stopping the Gambit engage.
It's going to be
exciting.
It's going to be interesting. The key note I'm going to take away from this one is the Unicorns do not fall behind. We've taken a look at their goal difference at 10 minutes, their goal difference at 20, and honestly, Unicorns go even more games than most, but you gotta wonder if that is gonna be enough. The risk of being caught by the Rupture, by the Maokai, by the Urgot is very, very scary.
And that really is the thing, because if you look at Gambit's comp here, they have the Rek'Sai locked in and a Cho'Gath mid lane, so the dueling potential 2-on-2 between Betsy and Diamond is fantastic compared to what the Unicorns are bringing from Kikis and Power of Evil here. So the mid lane pressure will be for Gambit. They have to use that to get in that jungle, place these deep wards here, spot the Nautilus, and then simply roam between the lanes and use that to really snowball.
Well, you make it sound so easy as always, Deficio. Guys, hit us up on Twitter. Hashtag GMBWin or hashtag UOLWin to @LOL Esports. You know, the local fans are behind the Unicorns of Love. We're loading up onto the Rift for game 1 of our second quarterfinal here in the European LCS. And we've got some fun stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing Power of Evil and Vardag's positioning. There's no Thresh to save their lives if any of that CC connects from Gambit. And there is a whole heck of a lot. But truthfully, the same could be said from the Unicorns towards well. If you could see us, guys, we're busy dancing, I promise. Oh.
Boring, man. Betsy turning down the music.
Guess they gotta stay focused for the quarterfinal, right?
So, Gambit going for an invade here. They want to place a few deep wards to try and spot where Unicorns are sending their lanes. In this situation, Maokai does perfectly fine against Hecarim in lane, simply because Hecarim is spamming his Qs so much, proccing that passive from the Maokai over and over. And obviously the Urgot Janna is gonna be a very strong lane for Gambit. So we're going to have to see if they can manage to spot where Unicorns are sending their dual lane. For now, Hylissang and Vardex are staying here. They have obviously shown themselves with these bindings. And look at the wards from Gambit. 4 placed inside. I don't think they can see the wall, though, on the ward to place between the 2 towers up here. That shouldn't really be an issue for Unicorns unless they swap to the top side.
So we'll find out what the Unicorns decide to do.
Nothing. They can just farm. I mean, Morgana Jinx can sit back and play the farm fest in this situation here.
And in terms of this duo, Jinx Morgana against Urgot Janna, this is not something that we've seen at all this year. Of course, with Urgot getting some buffs in 5.5, rejoining himself in the meta. But Eddie and Pinoy struggled against Vardex and Hylissang the last time this duo lane met. Pinoy some early aggression, throwing out some of those missiles and a massive advantage, punishing Vardex.
Yeah, so notice what Gambit did here in the start of the lane. Pinoy stayed in the lane to get the early push on the minions, while Eddie was the guy moving into the Grump. That stopped Unicorns from even trying to start it, and made them also get late down towards the lane itself. So Pinoy already had the first push going. He was standing in a good position to start trading. And obviously you don't want to take these level 1 trades against an Urgot, just spamming Q auto attack on you as a Jinx. Poor start for Unicorns in this 2-on-2 lane, and it's gonna be in full control for Gambit. Obviously, mana is going to be a bit of a problem for Pinoy, but once he goes back and gets that tier, that's going to be the first little spike for him, where he can really become a lane bully.
And such a strong advantage against an AD carry like Jinx, reducing all damage, in fact, thanks to the Urgot passive. But strong start for Gambit, reversing their fortunes from the last time they met. It was interesting you touched on Eddie sort of interrupting the Grump. Eddie invades jungles in a majority of games that Gambit plays, likes to be a nuisance. And Diamond, with a typical Gambit style,
we have seen this before.
Trending top.
Always putting focus on top lane. Gambit used to basically always focus on Cabo Shot, make him the big carry. The first gank, there's no flash on Chachi, remember?
Well, he's thrown down the Ignite. Cabo Shot's burning away. Diamond gets the knockup. Red buff is available. Chachi is going to be low on mana. Diamond, he's going to burrow, flash forward, unburrow. 1 or 2 more auto attacks, and Diamond is on the board. Gambit with first blood.
And Kikis, you can see the route he took. He started red buff, moved all the way down to the blue buff, so he wasn't in the river here around the Baron to clear the Skull Crab and get some vision for them. That allowed simply the roam. Let's see what happens now, because Kikis will get denied. Or will he? He will pick it up, or Power Evil got it. But because Kikis started on the red side and didn't go for the river and clear that Skull Crab here to give the vision to spot Diamond coming top lane, there was nothing Vizichachi could do once he was caught in the middle of the lane. And we know Gambit ganks that top lane. No way that can be a surprise for Unicorns.
So well played by Gambit. Step 1, get an advantage. They Did lose control of that Scuttle Crab, and Kikis on this Nautilus just trying to get his way up to some levels. Pinoy low in mana, not yet backed. Still got some potions to play with. And the CS lead he had earned against Vardex has been equaled out. Oof, so much damage, but no connection from that Oxygen Corrosive Charge.
This really started level 1 for the Unicorns when they came down late to the lane and Pinoy were already in such a good position. And obviously Urgot is a fantastic early AD carry as well. Diamond, he's still around the top side. He gets this one. Then Gambit controls the river, meaning Vizicsacsi can never push his lane. He has to sit back at his tower, otherwise he's gonna get ganked again from it. So Unicorns, despite knowing that Diamond loves to gank to top lane, didn't do anything to try and get some deep wards down or deep vision to spot this first gank, and has paid the price. Kick is obviously gonna be spotted now. Pink ward and the tunnel.
Well, Pink ward still alive in the bush. Kikis did not check it. We did see a few moments ago that Pinoy backed, has picked himself up that early tier. Gonna start charging up, and Eddie's just giving us a bit of a walk, trying to save as many CS as possible.
Yeah,
pretty cheeky.
Now the fun starts for Urgot. When you got that tier and you got enough mana to just keep poking away, it becomes really, really fun to play him and super annoying to play against him. So Chachi has moved a little bit away from his own tower, and he's ganked again.
Well, let's take a look. We do see the connection from Kikis. His tower hits onto Cabashot. Cabashot down to 200. Diamond gets a knock-up onto Kikis as the Chilling Smite will keep Kikis in range for a moment or two longer. But the Riptide doesn't connect further, and Unicorns of Love defend Vizicsacsi's life. He's sticking around, though. This could get risky.
Yeah, let's see. Kikis is here as well, but he's spotted from the ward. We have to remember, Nautilus is a very weak early duelist. He does not want to fight at Rek'Sai. They're going back towards Vizicsacsi.
Oh, Diamond gets the knockup. That's another kill. Diamond is under attack from the tower, though. His Kikis will be the next focus. Another knockup. Few more hits should do it. The minions and one more slam. Cabashot with a double kill, 2-0-1.
And this right here is the reason we don't see a lot of Nautilus being played. He's so weak in the early levels, and also because he's maxing E to become more of a kiting machine, he has very low damage in the early game. Normally you need that shield, you get a few ranks in it early, and you have some decent auto attacks while it's up. But in this case, it's max E after the changes. It is extremely weak in fights. Rek'Sai is so much stronger, and we mentioned how Diamond here can be the big playmaker in the early game because he's playing this Rek'Sai into a very slow tank. And because Unicorns again are giving up the top side of the map in terms of vision, they're getting some very bad situations and are now being completely punished.
So Fisher, in picks and bans, you said you can get a Maokai fed and still win games. 2-0-1 before 10 minutes. Cabashot is sitting pretty. And honestly, this is not surprising at all. Gambit have been camping for Cabashot for multiple weeks.
That is the surprise.
It got them into the playoffs. What's surprising is Unicorns did not prepare for it.
Exactly.
They did not play around it. Maybe Unicorns just underestimating the amount of time Diamond was going to spend up there.
And also, Nautilus here was the last pick. That is picked into a very passive mid laner that needs a lot of time to scale up. You need level 11 here for Power of Evil. You need to stack up that tier before you do anything. So Nautilus is not going to add anything in the mid lane. Top lane, Hecarim obviously needs to win his laning phase to become super impactful in the map, in the game, but he's not running Flash. So against a heavy CC laner, it's easy to basically lock him down and set up ganks. So when Gambit locked in that Rek'Sai, they got all that early pressure and they've been using it so well. Now Betsy's roaming, Diamond is joining as well. I mean, we might just try and dive him again.
Oh, looks like there is some backup from Kikis and not really a lot of minions to work with on that top lane. So unfortunately the roam has not paid off. They should get themselves a pink ward for the troubles. Yeah, Diamond spots it. Talking about Betsy, we've actually not touched on this Void Monster matchup in the middle lane. Cho'Gath and Kog'Maw. And we won't talk about it because Chachi is being hit down by an oak tree. Diamond is going to burrow, unburrow, find Kikis, jungle on jungle, top on top. Dredge line used to pull Kikis to safety. He does manage to get away for the time being. Chachi has got access to the onslaught of shadows. He's going to use it to try keep Cabashot under the tower. Down to 200 hit points. One more hit should do it. And it is the Prey Seeker. Now in the bottom lane, Hylissang is going to be able to take out Pinoy. We didn't see how that setup happened. But Hylissang with the Soul Shackles and the level 6. That's a flash away from Edward. Dodging the Super Mega Death Rocket, but Unicorns on the board in the 2v2.
Yeah, so very important to get a kill in the bottom lane. No idea why Gambit got in that situation down there. You're winning so hard on the top side of the map. Just farm bottom lane. You don't have to go for any kills if you're Pinoy and Eddie in this situation. Let's see it again. They're trading in. They have ulti on Pinoy. Just managed to get in range to swap Vardax and just trades. Gets binded. Simply just
look at the CC.
Chain CC from the Unicorns. Gambit being caught out here and really just farm. You're winning so hard on the top side of the map. Don't have to do anything. But what you have to notice as well, whenever Diamond is ganking the top lane, mid lane is always being pushed by Betsy. So he's always running before Power of Evil towards that top lane when the dives happen. Which simply means even if Unicorns are there to counter gank with Kikis, it would be a 3v2 situation in just a matter of seconds. And that's what we talked about, how when you pick these super slow laners, and you also have a tank jungler that can't do anything in the early game, you surrender the entire map on one side. And in this case, it's been the top side, where Gambit is just taking full control through mid lane, jungle, and top lane.
Well, taking stock of the situation, Gambit 4 kills up. They've got the first tower. They've got the dragon under the belt, secured by Diamond. And with the exception of a small misstep by Pinoy, everything seems to be going to plan. Small advantages in CS across the board. Righteous Glory already completed for Cabochard, so the ability to jump onto these very immobile AD carries should be made easier. As long as Cabochard can find the right TP, it will be coming off cooldown in a moment or two. Hylissang, Soul Shackles comes out. Eddie's gonna knock him away. But that's ultimates traded. And not the end of the world. Hylissang and Edward battling over this pink ward.
Eddie doesn't mind too much. Basically, his only target in a fight is going to be the Hecarim, just trying to knock him away when he comes in. Otherwise, he's going to have these 4 bruisers or tanks who's just going to keep walking forward and trying to catch the back line of Unicorns. So, in that case, the Janna is not going to be too useful with the ulti. It's purely just to stop Visichachi from getting in himself and obviously buffing up the damage of Pinoy in these fights here. Diamond now for the first time around the bottom lane. He doesn't really need to do anything down here. Already gotten 2 kills and 2 assists on top side. I think that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, decent
and
enough.
Also why, I know everyone's talking about tank junglers, Cinderhulk OP, Rek'Sai, Nidalee. These early junglers, they are still very, very strong because you can make these plays early game.
Especially when you get all the ganks. Pinoy once again eats himself a dark binding. Hylissang and Vardax come up better in a situation. We do see Pinoy trying to go up to this mid lane. Kikis is now caught out. Diamond forced to flash away. The tick from the Gromp is not going to be enough, but the ignite from Betsy will. Power of Evil flashes into the Wolfcam. Cabochard follows. Arcane smash into auto attack. Now, we do see Chachi plus Hylissang in another 2v2, but Chachi's low, Chachi's down. Hylissang's low on mana. Black Shield's going to time out. Edward's in place, and Vardax, why are you joining the party? All of a sudden, Vardax and Hylissang trying to get out, and Vardax forced to flash. Unicorns of Love are scattered and making weird and wonderful decisions. Gambit loving the situation they're in.
Yeah, but this is what we expected when we looked at Gambit and the Unicorns of Love in a quarterfinal. Fights everywhere, 9 kills already. Mid lane we have fights. Bottom lane again, a kill for Unicorns. There was a TP from Chachi down there, killing Pinoy. But it doesn't really matter for Gambit because they're winning so hard elsewhere on the map. This mid lane tower is super low already. Top lane obviously died long ago. And Kikis, he's still trying to deal some damage, but it's not going to happen.
Well, Gambit are in a great position. We're going to get a replay of the bottom lane fight.
Yes, second time Pinoy now gets caught with a binding that starts the whole fight. TP comes in from Chachi. But while he's TPing to the bottom lane, look at the mid lane here. You can see how Power of Evil and Kikis are fighting 2v3. So he has to get that 1 kill, but this benefits Gambit. Because they already got Kikis down. They're going to get Power of Evil as well. And now there's no damage left for Unicorns once they return here. I mean, Betsy on a choke-up, Cabochard on a Maokai, they don't really care. And obviously, clean house.
So very well played by Gambit, picking the right fights. To Fisher, something you praise from Gambit. All split long. Diamond is going to find Hylissang. The hyperkinetic position reverse is available, but not used as Pinoy gets caught on the Flame Chompers. I got so excited for the spell name, and then it didn't happen to Fisher.
Good old Black Shield.
But Gambit, take a look at this lead. They were trying to set up for Dragon. You see some sort of defensive play as Kikis is killing some of those tunnels.
Here's the thing though, Gambit doesn't really have to start this Dragon, because look at the top lane. Capuchat is already pushed all the way down. He can even stay if he wants to and just start hitting on that tower, but it seems like he want to go back and buy a few items, potentially get home guards and then TP in. Yeah, home guard just completed for him now. So in case a fight happens, there's so many deep wards from Gambit in the jungle of the Unicorns. This is going to be a perfect TP from Capuchat. Dive onto that back line here and get onto these squishy carries. He's just waiting in base. Now the dragon is secured and no fight happened. He can go back to his lane, denied some CS, denied the dragon as well just by having that TP threat. Still sitting there. Pinging towards the bottom lane. Let's see if the TP's in.
Well, smart play from Gambit. They secure the second dragon. We still see Capuchat chilling on the fountain. Look on the bottom lane. Pinoy, is he going to get caught again? The answer is yes. You see the black shield on Vardax. That's about to time out. Mega Death Rocket is going to put damage down as Eddie continues to channel. Notice Capuchat actually stopped his walk for a little while. Diamond is now joining this party. 3-on-2. Look at Bitsy from the jungle. Diamond takes a turret shot as there's no minion support. Oh, going to be in a bit of trouble here. Chilling Smite out. We do see the depth charge. It's going to connect, and that now turns Unicorn's focus to Betsy. Betsy trying to get away. Smiles across the board.
Well, smiles from Sheepy, not from Leviathan.
Well, Leviathan was seeing his team making one small mistake, but it didn't hurt them yet. It's not over yet to Fisher. They're still hanging around this bottom area of the map.
Yeah, Kick is out of mana. They're fighting with his blue buff.
Power of Evil's going to secure it. We do see the knock-up from the Rapture. He's going to join the pod. That's a flash feast. Betsy gets one on Kickus. He's going to pop the black shield. Vardax forced to sidestep the Rupture. Pinoy's going to get himself a kill. Someone use the position reverser. You've got Urgot. Not needed as Gambit going to get themselves 2 more kills. 9-3 up. 6,000 gold in the lead. CS advantages across the board, and they're going to set their sights on this bottom tower.
Yeah, these deep wards here on the bottom side from Gambit really shows where they want to make the plays. We saw early in the game, all the focus in terms of warding was on the top side from Gambit. That's why they kept ganking Visicharge. He got all these kills, he got the early lead. Then they went down to the bottom side, completely warded off the jungle. Okay, sure, Diamond died when he was sneaking in behind, but they still managed to get a fight in the jungle where they have full control, get more kills. I mean, Betsy now and Cho'Gath got a 3-0, or 3-0 and 2. He's going to be fully stacked up soon. You don't have the damage to take him down. If you're the Unicorns, you need way more time. I mean, Power of Evil, currently on his tier, 457 mana. So that's not even close to being fully completed. He is 11 now, so that's the first point. You got Luden's Echo as well, so his ulti is going to do a lot of extra AoE damage. But he's just not strong enough to fight, especially not when you have the likes of Kickies on Nautilus being so far behind as well.
Well, Kickies has been in trouble all game long. Once again, Dredge Line's out to safety. Gambit have got support coming in, but Pinoy still hanging a little bit closer to the top lane. 4 members of Gambit on the red buff. Vardax not with the team. Rupture connects onto Hylissang. Betsy is looking for the feast. Eats a dark binding, which means he can't get in range. And Hylissang manages to stay alive to fight another day. We're not even 20 minutes into the game. Gambit are looking to secure another inner turret. Unicorns, even with their spirit animal Hecarim, unable to fend off the aggression. And that was actually a very long-range Super Mega Death Rocket. Edwy ate it, and it didn't result in anything, and 50% HP gone from that tower.
That's a pretty good defense, though, from the Unicorns. Managed to stop Gambit from taking tower while Vardax was staying on the bottom lane and got to tier 1. So this is at least a good trade. It's what you have to do when you're falling this far behind. You gotta try and trade cross-map objectives. So in this case here, they figured they could hold the top tower and also get the bottom lane at the same time. So that's just some good and very important gold from the Unicorns. Probably says it, I mean. When you're playing Gambit, it's always a 1v2.
Yeah, I see what Amazing has to say. Honestly, Nautilus is the opposite of what you want against Rek'Sai.
I feel like we've said that a few times.
Strong words from Amazing. And it's showing through. Kickies 1-3-0. Had little to no impact on this game at all. And
yeah, should have been a volley bear.
To Fisher, we're approaching 20 minutes on the clock. Gambit have only been more than 4,000 gold up in 3 of their regular season games. 3 out of 18. They're set to make that 4 with one of their most convincing early to mid-game performances of the year. All of a sudden, Kickies is going to get in trouble. Diamond's gone in, got the unburrow. We do see that challenging smite. Depth charge not used from Kickies. Prey Seeker, but blows the flash from Kickies and just forcing him out of his own jungle. Gambit, they're now setting their sights on Power of Evil. That's another flash. 2 of them blown. If Gambit find the same opportunities again, all of a sudden, Kickus and Power of Evil, they're going down.
They're going down for sure, and the funny thing is, this was the last pick Nautilus. They saw the entire comp from Gambit. They could see everything, and they knew, okay, it was going to be Maokai into Hecarim. We had the Rek'Sai locked in from Diamond. He's basically looking for fights non-stop. The warding is still perfect from Gambit. They keep just investing all their wards on the one side they want to fight. They don't try and ward up the entire map. No, they say, okay, what's the next objective? It's going to be Dragon. Fine, we take over the bot side jungle. Is it going to be the tier 2 tower and bottom lane? Good, we stay here with our wards, or otherwise we swap them top side if we go over to Baron. So they keep moving around this massive set of wards because they have double side stone already, and they have 4 sweepers to clear out the vision from the Unicorns, and they just take over jungle completely. It's no longer Unicorns jungle.
Well, the one thing you said in Picks and Bans, Unicorns need to get ahead early. They cannot afford to fall behind. They've fallen super far behind, over 6,000 gold as we broach 20 minutes on the clock. Gambit, 30 seconds till potentially their 3rd dragon, and their 2nd largest gold lead of the split. Gambit are in a great position, but this is now where things get difficult. Gambit, on average, take 42 minutes to win games. That's their average time in their wins. They cannot really afford to give 20 minutes of time and build up to Power of Evil and Vardex.
Right.
So we'll see what they do, how they close it out.
That's a fun little stat, because when you watch Gambit play, one game they close it out in 26 minutes and they make basically the right move all game long. Like against Elements, 26 minutes, game was done. And then the next day they play, they get a massive goal lead and they struggle to close the game because they kind of walk around the Baron, let's say for 10 minutes, and it looks very messy suddenly. If Gambit keeps playing like they're doing now, we're going to look at the one, you know, the same style as against Elements, where they look very clean, they know where to push, they know how to get these objectives. They don't care about losing this tier 2 tower because they're getting a 3rd dragon, so that's going to be the next goal for them, go towards the 5 dragons and 4 unicorns to fight.
So the trade, top tower for dragon. Betsy and Edward getting some damage on the mid-inner turret. Diamond secures that one uncontested. Pinoy getting some auto attacks onto Vardags, and honestly, that's a lot of damage from those Acid Hunters. This is the jungle that we have declared ownership from Gambit. For Unicorns, yes, they are extremely far behind. They cannot afford to get caught out of position. If, however, they can initiate with Kickus and Chachi.
Another flash. 2 carries now without flashes from Unicorns. They might go in anyway.
Well, Betsy gets caught out. He's going to get caught by those Flame Chompers. The Onslaught of Shadows instantly knocked away. Pinoy and Diamond on the front lines. Diamond is going to be forced to run away as he gets hit by Hecarim. Look at Cabochon in the back line. He's got 4 members of the Unicorns on him. The Maelstrom beats path. Cabochon is looking for Vardags, and he does get him. All of a sudden turns their attention to Visit Chachi. Hecarim is on a full retreat. Cabochon is still tanking the Unicorns of Love. Finally decides he doesn't want to be there. Flashes away, just smiles from the coaches, and here comes Diamond. He's looking to re-engage. He's turned his sights to Power of Evil. Rupture plus Feral's Gleam equals a kill for Cabochon. There's a teleport in from Vizichachi, but it doesn't equate to anything. They've lost their carries. The 2 front lines of Unicorns is all that remains, and Gambit are on the inner turret.
And 2 very key things we're missing here for the Unicorns. Well, it's not over yet.
Not even over. Kickus is down.
Well.
Diamond is soloing Vizichachi, and the rest of Gambit will secure their 4th tower after a prolonged team fight. What great play.
Remember what happened the last few minutes. Flashes were blown from the carries on Unicorns. They are immobile. If they don't have that black shield, there's no way for them to stay alive or defend themselves. They were the targets here from Gambit. Once Cabochon came in, we're going to see it again. And this, by the way, is why it's still good to get a very fit Maokai, because he becomes this tanky early in the game, and he still has pretty good damage, honestly, over such a long fight. So at first, it's a good engage from the Unicorns. They catch Betsy, pull him on the tower. The whole thing looks terrible now for Gambit, but look, no flash on Vardax, so he's now stuck in here. Cabochon is a fed Maokai. He's enough damage to take him down. 1v5, basically. Next one, wait for Diamond to return, and then we look at Power of Evil, who also had to use flash just 2 minutes ago, so it's not ready for the fight. No black shield. Diamond coming in. Look at your minimap. Follow him all the way up behind Power of Evil. No way for him to escape now because there's no flash. He's dead.
Unbelievable play here. Chachi decides to TP in, but it doesn't equate to anything. There are simply no carries left to fight with. And actually looked like the Captain Surprise did more damage than the rest of Unicorn's team fight. We're still going to Fisher.
I mean, it's just more kills. Now it's cleanup time. Alright, so Gambit figured there's no dragon, there's no bot lane tower or tier 2 tower. We don't care about bot lane now. Let's take this massive package of wards and go towards the top side of the map. One tier 2 left, that's the top one. Baron is also going to be an objective very soon for them to force another fight. So by taking over this jungle, which should be the next goal for them, once they go back and get a few pink wards at least, they can completely control topside jungle, control Baron at the same time, and once the wave hits on the top lane tower as well, it's already down to 50%. That's going to be an easy target for Gambit.
So 25 minutes in, Gambit transition their focus to the top half of the map. They've controlled the bottom half and Unicorn's blue buff for the last 10, securing back-to-back steals.
Dragons
as
bots,
well.
Towers.
Absolutely everything belongs to Gambit. Any towers they've given up is because Gambit chose not to defend them in preparation for picking objectives elsewhere. Diamond was spotted by the ward, but he was spotting everyone thanks to Tremor Sense, and the rest of the team is backing him up, moving into the jungle.
Gambit's going to need some ping wards if they really want to take control of the map here. I mean, they're so far ahead, they can just play like this and still get the right fights. But once the tier 2 tower top goes down, then it becomes harder and harder because you got to get into the base now, where there's a very short route between the lanes and of course the fountain for the Unicorn, so it's going to be easier for them to defend. And then you have to play around that Baron. But seeing as Gambit doesn't have any pinks on it, it can be pretty risky. Starting it, there's always the chance of a jungler flashing in and stealing it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Flash is available for Power of Evil and Kikis, where they were not previously. No flashes for Vardax and
Unicorns
Hylissang.
realize they should know this is happening because they haven't seen Gambit for quite a while now.
And this team will take a long time to hammer this Baron down.
Right.
Gambit have got the numbers. Rupture does not connect. The rest of Gambit still sticking. Pinoy is regrouped with his team. 50% of Baron's HP is down, but as we said, you don't necessarily have those.
Gambit just back away, reset.
Champions.
Reset whole thing. Go back, get your pinks, return. First of all, go back to Dragon then. Go back, get your pinks, and go Dragon. You have 3 already to 0. If the Unicorns want to fight you there, you take that fight because they're still not strong enough. I mean, look at Power of Evil. Not even 2 items fully completed for him. Same for Vardax. The 2 carries do no damage. So once you've gone back to base, we got 1 pink. They got 4 sweepers, so I guess it can be okay for them, but they're not looking to get full control. Get this Dragon and then return back to the Baron itself and this tier 2 tower, where you just take over that topside jungle. That should be the next objective for them. When they're this far ahead.
Small advantage for Unicorns. They did get that last outer turret. Any little bit of gold is going to go a very, very long way for Unicorns.
And they got that tower because Gambit started a Baron where they didn't have control, had to back away, were forced to recall. That gave Unicorns a tower. Small things, but it's what the Unicorns can do to get back in the game.
Gambit set their focus to Dragon now, Deficio. A little safer, a little less risky. A lot easier to kill, that's for sure. 3 spawns. They had 1 or 2 pink wards in the inventory, which have already been placed by Edward. Nothing else on the map. So as far as vision goes, slightly losing control from what they had earlier, but look at the damage onto Hylissang. We do see a TP coming in from Caboshot right behind Unicorns of Love. Vizichachi forced to onslaught away as a defensive play, and he is down. Pinoy gets a kill. They've turned to Vardax. He's already flashed. He is dropped once again by Caboshot. Dredgeline to safety, instantly flashed away, as did Hylissang in the background. Knockup interrupted by the Black Shield. Gambit just put together 2 easy kills. Set their sights on Baron.
Yeah.
Keep in mind Dragon spawned as well, so there's the opportunity to get Dragon number 4.
And while it was a good play from the Unicorns to take that mid tower, honestly, you have to just give that Dragon over to Baron, to Gambit. Now Baron as well soon from them. But we can talk about it after. Let's see if Gambit can secure this one. Kikis is here. There's no flash, so there's no way for him to get in the Baron pit.
No, not at all. Kikis is just dancing around. I think he's going to get caught out. Yes, he's found Edward, but that does not really matter. As you see the rest of Gambit slowly chipping it away, and they've got the kill. That's a flash over for Hylissang, and they're going to get him. Diamond really wanting that extra kill. Should set them up to get another easy Dragon.
Yeah.
Number 4 plus Baron plus 12,000 gold lead. Gambit are here to play.
They're really pushing that lead, showing what you can do when you have a jungler like Diamond and like Rek'Sai against a Nautilus, one of the weakest early junglers in the game. But basically what happened again before, by Unicorns coming down to this Dragon, even though Gambit didn't have insane amount of vision control, it doesn't matter because the carries are still so weak on the Unicorns. I mean, we're 29 minutes in, you got 1 completed item on your AD carry. You cannot fight. Unicorns had to get that one up. Just say, okay, whatever, we surrender these kills here. Or we surrender the Dragon, you got 4 now to 0. We have to fight for the next one then. But because you didn't have proper pink wards, we could at least stall you at the Baron. That should have been the call. Here, I mean, this is suicide for Unicorns every single time. There's no evidence. If I look at the damage from Vardax here, okay, let's see, on to Caboshot. He's almost healing him simply because of the passive every time you cast a spell as an AD carry. And you obviously get caught out. You end up dying for it. Gambit knows what they're doing around these fights. And they also gifted them the Baron by Unicorns coming down here to try and stop it.
Well, Unicorns of Love are in dire straits as we hit 30 minutes on the clock. Actually, there's no real way for them to pull this one back at this point in time, because the next time they try to contest Dragon, and it's Dragon number 5, we've already seen what Gambit have done around the pits.
In best out of 5, first game, what you do now is you kind of just stop thinking about this game, you stop paying attention, and you start talking about next game. What went wrong here? For the Unicorns, they're going to be blue side 4 games in a row now. The teams decided to choose the sides this way. So they know, okay, we got 4 games in a row now on blue side. What are we doing for pick and bans? What went wrong in this game? Let's talk about it. How do we fix it for next game? Because there's obviously still loads of games to be played.
Gambit are sieging up. Look at that massive damage from the Acid Hunter onto Vardax. He's instantly forced to back away, trying to clear this wave out as best as he can, but the Baron-empowered cannon minion doing a lot of work here for Gambit. They got a lot of melee champions, and only Urgot and Edward on that Janna as your range, trying to get some auto attacks. They're not the greatest at taking towers down. And just to quickly explain, the higher seed gets side choice in games 1, 3, and 5. Gambit, Unicorns, based on their side choices, as you've said, to Fisher, means Unicorns get blue for the next 4 games. We do see Betsy's down. That's a good kill for the Unicorns of Love. Diamond is now in trouble. He's going to be burrowing his way to safety. And a momentary misplay from Gambit. Staying too eager on the tower, Unicorns find 1 kill back. And they end the killing spree.
You said it yourself, Trevor. Gambit doesn't really have a siege comp being built up here. 4 melee champs, or 3, I guess, melee champs, and then a fairly low-range Urgot, resulting in a kill for the Unicorns. So nicely played by them. The problem is there's still going to be a 5th dragon soon. That's obviously the goal for Gambit. And once you have that one, the insane amount of extra tower damage you get means you just have to walk in with your AD carry, hit it a few times, and you stay around the minion waves, and that tower will die. So the Unicorns, no dragon is going to be the big one. Already trying to set up a few wards in advance. This one is going to disappear before the dragon even spawns, though.
Very, very brave play from Edward, taking on Chachi and Vardax, realizing he had some support from the rest of his team. 007 doing his best James Bond impression. But for Gambit, every single thing's gone right, with the exception of sticking around in the top inhibitor turret. Let's see if they want to play for Dragon number 5, maybe another Baron. Use those sideways minions to help do some damage for you, because you've got to be very honest, it's going to take a lot of time, even with Dragon number 5, for Pinoy to solo kill a turret. If Unicorns can keep wave clearing. If Kog'Maw and Vardax are not pushed away, Kog'Maw and Jinx rather,
we have to remember, though, is if Betsy lands a Q onto either Power Feeble or Vardax, even on the tower, that's basically it. Because you can flash in and ulti on the Cho'Gath, and you nearly one-shot a carry.
Yeah, talking about flash ulting, Pinoy, you need to up your game. We're 33 minutes in, and I've not seen a solo initiating hyperkinetic position reverser. It is arguably the best spell name in the game, and you're not showing it off. I am disappointed.
Are you, Trevor?
Yes!
Let's see if Pinoy will do it just for you, obviously, not for Gambit.
No, I mean, I'm calling him out. We'll see what he can do.
Well, he hasn't really had to do anything this game, honestly. Because it's not been about the bottom lane for Gambit. They died twice in lane. Pinoy died twice in the lane.
That's true. Gambit is a team that plays around their solo lanes.
That's true.
Diamond tends to camp for Caboshot, and really, it's up to Caboshot and Betsy to help carry. And let's also be honest, it's a very similar story for Unicorns of Love. In terms of how these teams operate, it is very much about their solo laners getting the team ahead and then being the sharp spear point of any aggressive play.
I really wish we had talked about this before the game started, because when you then pick a Nautilus for Kikis, and you know it's about these two solo laners here and the jungle fight in between, you really don't do yourself any favor. I understand what he's doing for the comp. Again, Kite, loads of CC. Nautilus is one of the champions bringing the most CC in the entire game just from like one pick. problem is you got to get to that point. Gambit has never been punished. I'm not going to say they have low amounts of engage. I mean, you got a Maokai, you got an Urgot to start the fights, but Black Shield can avoid most of that. QSS later will avoid most of it, as long as the Unicorns hadn't fallen this far behind, where they had to surrender their jungle completely, because that means you always get flanked. Always. You can never move away from your towers if you don't have control of your own jungle, because there's always a chance of a TP coming in, a Rek'Sai coming in from behind. And that really has been the big problem for Unicorns, and Gambit just showed how good they are at team fighting and starting the team fights.
Well, we're getting closer to that average game time victory. Around 42 minutes is how Gambit generally win. We'll see if they're going to stick to their law of averages. Dragon up in 3 seconds, Baron up in 20 seconds.
This time they don't want to fight.
Are baiting Unicorns of Love, saying we dare you to challenge, we dare you to move in. Look at Unicorns, they were trying to move into their own jungle, maybe expecting Baron.
Yeah, and the Unicorns would have been in a better position now to fight compared to the last Dragon they tried to go for, where obviously Gambit just turned around and killed them because they were so far ahead. Got the Baron after as well, despite not even investing into any pink wards around it. But this one here, the 5th one, clearly the Unicorns still doesn't feel like they can fight. You got 3 core items now on Power of Evil, so that's super important. They're backing away from the Baron as well, so they're gonna give up everything for Gambit.
Well,
okay, maybe they're gonna try and steal. Let's see.
Hylissang and Kikis, they've got their flashes available this time. Baron's down to 5,000. Vardags is 1.5 miles away, but here comes a super mega death rocket. It's going to be late. Gambit get Dragon number 5, Baron number 2, 14,000 gold lead. And with Baron and buff, Dragon empowered, sieging, now they should be able to take towers.
Yes.
Should.
If you cannot finish now,
you don't deserve to win.
With all the buffs in the world, you're never gonna finish. Gambit obviously played so well. Yes, okay, that one small misplay in the top lane where they tried to take down the tower, but it didn't really do anything because there was no objective for Unicorns to take. So Gambit was still in full control of the map. Now let's see. All going mid at the moment. You got the buffed up minions, you got the cannon as well, you got a massive tree in the back. Pinoy is going to do a lot of damage to these towers.
Which will be a massive tree in the front if Gambit see the opportunity. Vardags, since the last time he tried to defend a tower, has a Phantom Dancer completed and a pickaxe. He's getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah, he's like 30 or 40 minutes away from killing anything.
Well, we'll see if he's given that much time. The answer's not going to happen though. Caboshot is a giant tree, already got that Thornmail completed. Will be able to solo all of the damage dealers of Unicorns of Love. Gambit just waiting for the minions to push up, but look at the bottom lane. It is pushing against Gambit. This is a small misplay, but they're just diving onto Vizichachi. That's a 2-man rupture. The front line of Unicorns are forced away, while Diamond is onto the back line. Hylissang should be the next victim, but he has managed to keep himself alive for a few seconds longer. 3 members of the Unicorns of Love, and the Sapling touchdown takes Hylissang out. Gambit 4 quick kills, an inhibitor, and they set their sights on a near flawlessly executed game 1 in their best of 5, ahead of all averages, demolishing the Unicorns of Love.
It's safe to say that the only kills the Unicorns got in this game were when Gambit were a little bit over-aggressive and didn't even mind giving them that kill because there's nothing else to take on the map. This game belonged to Gambit from the start. Champ Select with that Rek'Sai pick, the Maokai top lane into Heck for him as well, just to set up the ganks so easily. And the Nautilus reply from the Unicorns that did absolutely nothing. Diamond was obviously the big star in this game with his early ganks. Like everywhere he went, he would just get a kill for his team. But the whole setup was just so good at preventing Unicorns from going late game. And when you have these 2 hyper carries, immobile, squishy ones that need so much time to be useful, you cannot just surrender your entire early game in terms of your jungle pick then, if you want to try and do anything, unless you're expecting Gambit to just kind of sit back and farm as well. But they would never do that when they got the Rek'Sai pick. That's the thing about these early aggressive junglers now against the Cinderhawk tanks. When you play the early aggressive ones, you gotta make plays. Otherwise you will get outscaled compared to the big tank. And that's exactly what Diamond and Gambit did.
Exquisitely played by Gambit. I think Unicorns have to reevaluate their jungle top synergy, evaluate how they're going to handle that scenario. Because in straight up head-to-head lanes, Gambit know how to gank for Caboshot.
Oh yeah.
Hell, even in lane swaps, they know how to gank for Caboshot and get him ahead. It's been the story of Gambit all split long.
It was picks, and then also, we just saw the small details here. First of all, Kiki started his own red buff, walked down to blue buff. He didn't go into the river and try and secure any vision for the top lane. he just abandoned the top side and just walked straight down bottom lane. He killed the scuttler down on the bottom side, but that didn't do anything for them because he was the top lane getting ganked. And then at the same time, mid lane, Betsy on Cho'Gath were just pushing it all the time. Just push into tower, and then whenever a gank was about to happen, he would walk out of the lane, walk towards the top side, and then there would always be at least 3 guys there from Gambit way before Unicorns could do anything. So the whole setup from these 3 guys were just perfect to camp that one lane, where there was, of course, no flash on Hecarim.
And when we looked at that mid lane, it was actually almost non-existent. Yes,
in the mid lane.
Look, in the mid to late game, Betsy landed ruptures. He got the ferals down that helped Gambit win the team fights, but it wasn't really the game-defining play, nor was that Cogmore. Really little to no impact. So we'll need to see how Power of Evil is going to bring himself back into the series. And to break down Gambit's Game 1 win, let's head it over to our crack team of analysts at the desk.
Thank you very much, Trevor. We heard a lot about picks and bans already. And for you, D'Amato, one of the most interesting and maybe bad things of Unicorns of Love going into this draft must have been the Nautilus pick, especially banning out 2 junglers. And we saw it translated directly into a really bad early game for them.
Simply because Gambit opted in to first pick the Maokai, it kind of allowed them to pick the better jungler in the first rotation. I didn't understand why they wanted to last pick it. It made absolutely no sense. And at that point, like, Kikis has played Rek'Sai before, so it would have been a good pickup because of the jungle bans.
I mean, they picked Hecarim, and they picked a weak mid and a weak jungler. I was actually kind of surprised they didn't just lane swap. Although, like, you know, Hecarim's not the best in lane swaps, they at least have Jinx, so they can avoid the Urgot, like, early game stuff. So, I'm not really sure. Like, yeah, the last pick, Nautilus, kind of threw me off, and then, yeah, they didn't lane swap either. I think they kind of had too much confidence maybe coming in, or they just didn't respect that Gambit would, you know, take advantage of what they had.
Yeah.
And in the end, the things we hadn't seen from Gambit before, like the Urgot, like the Cho'Gath mid, it didn't matter because it was all about the top. And we know Gambit likes to play that way. And knowing that Kabashar is on Maokai, although you weren't particularly impressed with his Maokai the last couple of weeks, it worked out so well.
I think we see a massive improvement in his Maokai for sure. Sure, he got a lot of ganks, but his positioning in team fights and his impact on the game was massive because of his skill participation. But I'm really happy to see these kind of comps, because these kind of comps are where, like, for example, Ahri is super weak against it, and it kind of goes back to my point I had yesterday.
All right, reiterating that one. I want to touch on something Trevor said about the mid lane matchup. Obviously, AP Cog, it needs to scale up, and we saw that it did a lot of damage late, but it was too little too late at that point. But the Cho'Gath, you guys did have some good words for Betsy and the way he played, not the matchup, but the way he pushed the lanes and made the team fight influence.
Yeah, for sure. You want to take this one?
Yeah, about Cho'Gath mid. So I wasn't a fan when it first started coming out, and I think it's because no one really abused what Cho'Gath could do. And in that game, you'll see Betsy like pushing and roaming top or pushing and roaming bot. And the strength of this is mid laners can't really follow Cho'Gath, because if, you know, the catwalks of mid on the side are so easy to hit a rupture, and then if you do, it's like, well, now you're just getting chunked for free. And then that's not saying that they don't have a jungler close. So it's actually terrifying when a Cho'Gath pushes and moves, because you can't really follow unless you're playing like a really, really mobile champ like LeBlanc, and even that's just a bad lane, so.
Yeah, and testament to Betsy to recognizing when he should do that. We actually have a replay of that. Let's get that up on the screen where he does indeed that, pushes up the lane in the mid lane, and then Gambit take a bad engage, but they do end up winning. Jacob?
Yeah, so he's actually pushing this turret, and they don't have any deep vision, so they don't know where Nautilus is at all, and this could actually be bad for Betsy. But you see he's like Cho'Gath, he has so much confidence on this. He's actually pushing past this turret, and you see he's moving right now. Cog is stuck mid to clear this, and now he's just throwing Qs out. And if you get hit by a Q, you die. So boom, he's burning flashes with his 10-second cooldown on his Q. I mean, he gets caught here, which is not the best, but it just kind of shows like the strength of Cho'Gath. Like, it's not really punishable. You see him getting caught under turret. And then this is just the long fight where Cho'Gath actually is good in, because he's shooting so many ruptures, and once people don't have flash, they're going to get hit by the next one.
I think that actually, like, unpunishable kind of works for, like, Urgot as well, and Maokai as well. Like, this comp in mid-game in general is just so strong, because they just, like, have their power spikes in mid-game, and this is the point where they are basically the strongest.
Yeah, the Maokai was definitely unkillable. Two things about that. Maokai is good because this was not a perfect engage. It did work out well because of their champions. But two, we discussed about these two teams and how they are in the mid-game and they don't really know what to do. I'm still not completely convinced in terms of Gambit, because you see here that they take bad engages and they had so many skirmishes, but in the end they were so far ahead that it didn't matter in this one. Did you guys feel the same, or did you feel they played it out correctly?
I would have to say simply because of what Betsy did this game, as Probably just said, about how he pushed and roamed. I think you can just keep it simple the mid game. You just push out mid and create pressure. Like, it doesn't have to be harder than that.
I mean, I do think I want to give Gambit a bit more credit because at least their mid game, they pulled out 4 sweeper trinkets, 4 upgraded oracles. And honestly, I haven't seen that yet. I mean, maybe it's happened in another region and I'm not paying attention well and doing my job. But so far in EU, we haven't seen this 4 sweeper thing. So I think they have refurbished their mid game a bit. They have some kind of plan with these 4 sweepers. And I actually think, you know, in the coming games, maybe that wasn't a like paramount of mid game play, but I think that it's definitely something that they've been improving on.
Yeah. So at the minute they got a little bit of an advantage and got into the jungle, they put those wards down. Finally, before we go into break, looking ahead to next game, the Unicorns of Love will be on the blue side. The question is, will BD be completely thrown off and throw all of their game plans out of the window because they have to focus on certain bans?
I think we will definitely see a Maokai ban from Gambit is what I want to see, but from Unicorns of Love side, I think they're in quite a pickle now because it's like a complete different comp and they just have to adjust like 2 bans, like the Cho'Gath and Urgot is what is key in this comp.
Yeah, like you said it before about them being unpunishable, and yeah, how do you punish a Maokai or a Cho'Gath or an Urgot? They're all like really safe for everything they do. So I think taking Urgot out is going to be really, really strong because I think, yeah, Gambit will take out Maokai for them, and then from then on, I think UOL will have a lot better game plan on blue side.
All right, we will see what Sheepy and the team come up with. We need to take a quick break, but when we return, the Unicorns of Love will try and even the score against Gambit Gaming. There's still a lot of leagues left to be played in this best of 5, so stick around.
I'm so excited. Can you sing that, Kikis?
I just can't hide it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know I like it. I like it.
What's up, dude?
You pumped, buddy?
Focused.
Oh, Diamond gets the knockup. That's another kill. Diamond is under attack from the tower, though. His kickers will be the next focus. Another knockup. A few more hits should do it. The minions and one more slam. Knockup from the Rapture. He's going to join the play. That's a flash feast. Betsy gets one on kickers.
We can go again. If they
I'm going for Homeguards.
Okay. There you go. Look, they're here.
I will swap Kakma. Oh, JK.
I got them. Move up. Take care.
Nice. Did you see a TP coming in from Cabashot right behind Unicorns of Love? Mizuchachi forced to onslaught away as a defensive play, and he is down. A near flawlessly executed game 1 in their best of 5, ahead of all averages, demolishing the Unicorns of Love.